It's a blessing to be with you on this Friday. Another work week done, and we're looking forward to another weekend, the Lord's Day. It's always a great opportunity to be encouraged by God's people and the preaching of the Word of God. Today I'd like to look at 2 Corinthians chapter 13. We're all familiar with the testimony of the Apostle Paul here under inspiration, how he speaks of the fact that God gave him revelations which he couldn't even utter. And of course we know that God inspired him to write many of the epistles of the New Testament. We're greatly indebted to his life and his work. And in the midst of all this, he honestly says, because of the abundance of the revelations that he had, God kept him from being proud by giving him a thorn in the flesh. In fact, God wouldn't take it away because he very much wanted to protect him from the pride of life and the things that could occur. And what's interesting, it was a messenger of Satan, and God used that messenger of Satan, whatever it was, whether it was a physical condition or a person, he allowed that situation to continue so that he would look to the Lord. And we read in verse 9, the Lord said unto the Apostle Paul after he had prayed to him, "My grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness." What a statement. I want to encourage you today that you may have some things that may seem like an attack from the devil. You may have some very disappointing things. You may be overwhelmed by things that you're hearing. And that makes us really desperate to have God help us. You know, we like it when things are going well. But the Apostle Paul, he had the right to pray, and he did pray. And God said, "No, I'm not going to do anything because I want you to protect you." And he said, "I'm going to give you grace. I'm going to give you this special gift of my involvement in your life that's based upon what Christ did on the cross, God's grace. I am going to give that to you, and it's going to be sufficient. Your life is going to show forth the strength that comes from me," the Lord said, "and it's going to be made perfect in your weakness." So therefore, Paul responds, I love this, and this is what our response should be. "Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me." Let me just ask you this. Do you really want God's power upon you? Is your life really all about seeing God work through you? Or is it more about things going well and sure, serving the Lord, but that's not the passion of your life? If it's not the passion of your life, then trials are really a problem. But if you really want to grow so that you can be the man or woman of God that you ought to be, then you understand these infirmities are the very things that are going to allow me to have the strength I need, the power I need to accomplish the ministry. He goes on to say, "I take pleasures in infirmities and reproaches and necessities and persecutions and distresses for Christ's sake, for when I am weak, then am I strong." Isn't that amazing? Paul had a single focus. He wanted to know Christ, and he wanted to make him known. And if it took this, that was good. And I'm telling you, friends, if you're sold out to Christ, there's nothing in life that's going to bother you. Oh, sure, our flesh reacts, but immediately we realize this is good. And we can trust God, and we can rejoice, and we can have that sweet presence and that refreshment in our hearts. So let's learn this lesson from the Apostle Paul, that he glories in his infirmities so that Christ can be seen through him. The power of God can rest on him. May God give us that kind of purpose in our lives.